Good evening. I'll be speaking about makeup cat brushes tonight, and these can be found on AliExpress.com. AliExpress is the Chinese version of eBay without the bidding. These are made in China, and they're quite good for Chinese-made natural hair brushes. I was actually really surprised by how good the quality is, and I'm not going to say that they're exactly as on the same level as Japanese made brushes like Hakuhodo, Chikuhodo, Koyudo, and stuff like that. They're not there yet, but I think they'll eventually reach to that point someday. Saikoho, like goat Saikoho hair is actually definitely the best when produced by Japanese Fude makers. I think these hairs are actually, they might be Sokoho, but they're actually really, really soft for Sokoho. What else did I want to say? So let me start off by saying that I'm not affiliated with Makeup Cat whatsoever. I just happened to be on AliExpress and had some interest in purchasing and trying out some of their brushes, and I wanted to share it with you guys and ladies. So let me start off with this small eyeshadow brush on the left right here. This is a very, very small shader, as you can see. It's tiny, so if I compare it to the MAC 239, it's quite small. I wasn't expecting to like this brush when I first opened it because I was like, dude, it's really small. It's extremely small, and it's nowhere as dense either. So let's see. If you can see the side, the MAC 239 is obviously more dense, and the Makeup Cat version is thinner. It might be a little bit thicker than the Hakuhodo B004G, but yeah, it's pretty small. So like I said, I wasn't expecting to like it. I actually didn't know it was going to be this small when I was purchasing it online, because I didn't like do the how do you say it? I didn't do the measurements with my hand or with my ruler. Yeah, it just didn't do that. Like, I just saw the head on the website and I just purchased it. But this actually turned out to be my favorite eyeshadow brush from the ones that I ordered. I actually ordered 4 of them. The 4th one I didn't end up liking, and I gave it away. That one was like the Hakuhodo J142 or the Tom Ford 13. It was a fluffy blending brush, but the hairs were a bit longer than the other two, and so it proved kind of useless to me. Like, the hairs were a little too long, and I didn't really think that it did a good job at blending. So back to this eyeshadow brush, this small lay down eyeshadow brush is quite good for packing on eyeshadow on the inner half or the inner quarter of your lid. I really like it a lot, so I do recommend this one. I think, yeah, I will link the links below to all of these brushes except for this one that's discontinued, but yeah, I highly recommend this one. It's I think it was like $6 or $7, so these are really good price for the value, and it won't hurt the wallet, unlike the Japanese versions. And so the second one I have here is, I purchased it thinking that it would be quite similar to the MAC 217, the 217. I no longer own the 217 because I hated that brush with a passion. Like, I hated the shape, I hated how scratchy it was, I just hated everything about it, and so I sold it. But this one, I would say the head is a little bit smaller, the hairs are a little shorter, it's just more compact overall versus the MAC 217. It does an okay job at like applying color and blending it. I don't think I would recommend this one. And the next one is, I think it's a crease brush. I should have, in retrospect, I should have purchased the pencil brush instead, but I really like crease brushes, so I purchased this, and it's not that great. Like, when I'm using it for outer V crease placement, I think it, more than anything, it rubs away the color. Like the more color I pack on, like the more color I go like this on my lid, it just rubs it away more and more. So yeah, I don't recommend this one either, especially for crease coloring. It would, I don't know what I would use it for. Like maybe it would be better for nose contouring, something like that. So it's just, it's a tapered eyeshadow brush. You can see like this. Okay, and then I'm sorry to include a discontinued brush, but I just wanted to mention that when Makeup Cat first came out, they had, all of their brushes looked like this. It was very reminiscent of Tom Ford, and now they're all discontinued for probably because, you know, like AliExpress is cracking down on counterfeits and stuff like that. But this is one of the best affordable natural hair goat brushes, or goat blush brushes, I've come across to this date. I think, how much did I buy this for? This was like $10 or $11. I think it was in the $9 to $11 range. But this is very soft. It's I mean, it's very soft for the price and the quality, and it actually does really look like the Tom Ford cheek brush. I have that brush and I forgot to bring it out to compare, but I did do a comparison with blush swatches on my arm on the Fude subreddit, and this one actually applied blush better on my arm right here than the really insanely dense Tom Ford blush brush did. So this one's nowhere as dense as the Tom Ford blush brush, but the shape is very similar. I think the Tom Ford one is more squared at the top. Sorry, can you see that? Yeah, so I do really like this blush. It's one of those brushes that I just take with me when I'm traveling. I don't have to worry about like the bristles getting damaged or whatnot, because it was so cheap, and like if something bad happens to it, then I won't feel as bad. So yeah, I definitely recommend traveling with your cheaper brushes as opposed to traveling with your nice brushes, like your scroll brushes, because once they get all like wonky and messed up in your suitcase, it's just a really big pain to reshape them. And what if, you know, what if the hairs break and stuff like that? So that's always on my mind when I pack for travels. So I do like this. I would say that these goat brushes, ooh, my phone keeps moving. These goat brushes are pretty soft. If anything, from a scale to 1 to 10, they would probably be like in between, like a 6 and a 7. So the eye brushes at least would be like a 6 to 6.5 or 7. They're pretty soft. And then, I mean, this blush brush is not, I don't think it's as soft as the eyeshadow brushes. So maybe this would be like a 6. Yeah, I think this is like a 6. And next up is my favorite brush to date from Makeup Cat. It's this angled blush brush right here. I am not a fan, I'm generally not a fan of angled brushes because, I don't know, like, don't really like them, don't really like know how to use them. It's just something that, I don't know, it's like these flat and rounded pom-pom, or rounded pom-pom shapes, blush shapes at least, are a lot easier to use for me. This one, I have used this, it's just clean, I cleaned it. I think this was also very cheap. So all of these brushes are under $20 each. This one was probably like $11. I think it was like $11. Yeah. It applies blush beautifully, and it's very soft. It's like, let's see if it's softer than this one. Maybe it's not softer than this one, but I don't know. I would give it like a 6.5. But I think it definitely does a really good job at applying blush, and you can even do highlight and contour with it. It's a multi-purpose brush. So I highly, highly, highly recommend this one. If you're looking for something and you're on a budget, that's also multi-purpose. I highly recommend this one. And then lastly, I have this angled powder brush. Oh, I forgot to mention. Okay, so everything, my hands are over right here. Like these first 4 brushes, I believe are made out of completely, like all goat hair. And then these 2 on the right are actually a blend of goat and synthetic fibers. Yeah, I think it's, pretty sure it's like synthetic and sokoho. So this angled powder brush right here it's okay. It's like if your skin, these are all good enough for my sensitive skin. I do have extremely sensitive cheeks and eyelids, so they don't scratch me whatsoever. They're not prickly or pokey, but if you have normal skin, I think these would feel incredibly soft on your skin. And so this one I think is just okay since my skin is so sensitive. It's yeah, it's like an okay powder brush. I have other powder brushes that I like more. I think this one is definitely softer than the blush brushes. I would probably give it like a 7. Yeah, it's a 7 out of 10. But there was, oh yeah, so if you can see, it's like this. It's like hard with this camera angle. So it's quite dense, but it's not so dense to the point that it's like stiff and hard to move. So I feel like I did also previously purchase the flat variant of this powder brush. It was, instead of being angled, it was completely flat and it tapered to a point. So I mean, it wasn't shaped like this, but instead of like being completely rounded, it was flat and tapered at the top. That one was extremely soft. I would say that one was probably like an 8 or an 8.5 in terms of softness. I don't know how they did that, since these hairs I assume are all the same and all from the same place. But yeah, that one was soft. It was just very misshaped. Like when I received it, there was like a chunk that looked like it was missing at the top or something. So I was pretty unhappy. So yeah, I complained, and their customer service is actually pretty good. If you message them and you have a problem, then they message you back pretty quickly. Like I don't know, within a day, within a few hours, they do respond to you, and they respond to your requests. Like I was telling them that I had a problem with that flat powder brush, and I was very unhappy because there was a chunk missing, and I mean it was a little frustrating, I would say, like that they were telling me like, oh, you should wash it with hot water and it'll reshape or something. And I was like, no, it's not like a reshaping issue. It's the brush. It's the brush it wasn't bundled properly. And then, you know, after some back and forth communication, they finally said, okay, we will, what do you call it? We will give you a new powder brush, but you just have to purchase again. Like basically, like I had to make up another purchase, and then they would include a powder brush with my order. And so I wanted this one, but they were trying to tell me to get something else, and I was like, no, I want this one. And like eventually they gave in, and they said like, okay, we'll offer this one. I mean, they were around the same price anyways, and I didn't want that flat powder brush to, the whole like misshapen fiasco to happen again. So, which is why I asked for this one, since I like the blush brush so much. But yeah, I do recommend the flat one if you can get, oh, sorry, crap, keeps moving. I do recommend the flat one if you can get the proper shape. Like if it's bundled correctly, then I do recommend it because it's a lot softer. It's softer than like all 3 of these brushes right here. And I recommended that brush. I recommended this one and like the powder brushes to one of my friends, and the one that she got, the flat one that she got, was actually perfectly bundled together. So yeah, just happy to introduce a new brand to foodie lovers that's affordable. And the last comment I do have to say is Japanese foodie companies, like Japanese makeup brush companies, actually they buy their hair from China and Europe, so their hair is not from Japan. If you didn't know, so it's like, I think it's a good thing to know that they're buying them from China, because then the Chinese brushes that I'm buying, or the Chinese brushes that like I'm buying and other people are buying, like I know that it's hair that Japanese brushes also use. So just a tidbit of information for you, and thank you for watching. Hope to see you again. Bye.